Thanks, Will. Will works with us on a consulting basis, and as I got to understand more about Will and the user group, I asked him if I could come and kind of talk a little bit about our company. Well, first I asked him if he thought anybody would find it interesting. But I'm not a developer. I do consider myself a technologist, but mostly what I focus on is search engines, not coding. And Databank's been around for just over 2 years. My business partner and I raised some initial venture capital to fund our business, and the idea was that we were going to create a large network of websites that were going to be predominantly focused around optimization for search. And so we'll talk a little bit about it today and why we like .NetNuke. We were looking for .NetNuke developers, and we always are, especially on a contract basis. So if anybody's interested after this, let me know. You can go ahead. So my background has been in online marketing for the last 10 years. I graduated college in '98, and I just watched online marketing explode. And the numbers moving forward are impressive, and a lot of the numbers are focused around search marketing and local. And so about 2 years ago, we were trying to identify what type of innovation might be available that combined online marketing, search, and local. You can go ahead, Rob. These are just some statistics that are meant to impress investors. And there were also some things that we saw working on the web. The idea of collaboration, networks were working, specifically networks as it related to websites, networks of websites. IAC Interactive Corp is a great example of that. They have 80 huge properties that they leverage to create a positive sum value. The emergence of semantic and behavior-based understanding on the internet. This idea that you have advertisers and web publishers, and somewhere in the middle is this marketplace for media, and some other concepts like, of course, social media, and the idea of open and collaborative efforts. Yeah. And one of the reasons why we based our business around organic search was this idea that today there's an estimated 10 billion monthly searches, and Google's built this 8,000-pound gorilla business on the web, and moving towards an entire operating system on the internet, predominantly based around search and the effectiveness of search marketing. But the interesting thing to us was that only, on average, 15% of people are clicking on the sponsored search results. So if you could develop a business that was driven by appearing in the organic search results frequently, it was probably the greatest source of free, high-quality traffic on the internet. And so that's what we've done. You can go ahead. And today we have about 20 sites that we've built. Initially it was in, Rob can help me on this because Rob's our lead developer, in classic ASP. And then eventually we moved over to ASP.NET and then completely into the .NetNuke framework. We have a content publishing system that we've developed that's really built around .NetNuke. And I'll talk a little bit about how that works. So I'll give you an example of a site in a minute. But what we have now is a network of around 20 sites that are driving 250 now to 300,000 visitors a month in very high-quality traffic segments like mortgage or student loans or insurance, cosmetic surgery, for example. So we've reduced our marketing costs to 0, and we're just driven through technology. And we use our sites as a way to drive leads and customers to our advertising partners. And the sites that we build, this is an example of one website we have, which is personal home loan mortgages. It shows up on the first page of Google for everything mortgage. This is an example of a ranking I'm proud of, which is mortgage brokers. We're #1 on the web, as compared to probably something like 10 million pages that are competing for mortgage brokers. And the way that we use .NetNuke is really through a couple-step process, which is understanding how people search in a particular category. So in mortgages, you have the head terms that people search: mortgage, mortgage refinance, mortgage rates. And you have the long tail of how people search in the real estate lending category. Bad credit mortgage, Orlando, Florida. Or best mortgage broker, Phoenix, Arizona, 92171. And we developed a URL rewrite that allowed us to take all the information as we were understanding it in the keyword, with the keyword tools that were available to us, and created an architecture that reflected these search patterns of individuals. You can go ahead to the next page. And the reason why we like DotNetNuke is because not only did it allow us to create a data-driven architecture, so that we have 30,000 pages that reflect how people search in mortgages, but we can also start incorporating some of the social media functionalities that were emerging. So on our mortgage website, you can now rate and review mortgage brokers. If you're a mortgage broker, you can build a profile and add photos, forums, blogs, and a number of other plug-and-play technologies. And so DotNetNuke really allowed us to continue to evolve as the web was evolving, as opposed to various content management systems that our competitors were using, where they got stuck in legacy cycles and had to either continue down a path that wasn't effective, or take the time and the cost to move over to a different system. We had our technology reviewed about a year ago from a guy by the name of Don Patini, who was one of the first 4 guys at Alta Vista. It was a great experience for me to work with him, especially being an enthusiast of search engines. And one of the things that Don recognized in the use of DotNetNuke is that we could continue to not only grow rapidly, but adapt. And it's this adaptation that's important when the core driver for your business is search engines, because they're constantly changing. And so I wanted to walk through briefly kind of the process for building a site for us, because I think we launch websites that would ordinarily cost an organization several $100,000, 6 months of time, in a week or 2. And so when we start with a category, for example, this is cosmetic surgery. It's a site that we're launching next week. We have a business analyst, normally a young, recently graduated MBA student, who does an analysis using either Google Keyword External or Word Tracker or Keyword Discovery to really understand how people are searching in a category. And we start to group these words together into an organizational information architecture, so a taxonomy. So at the top of your taxonomy in cosmetic surgery, you might have breast augmentation, facelift, laser hair removal, etc. And then you further break down the search patterns into subcategories. So not only is it facelift, but under facelift you may have Botox or dermabrasion or other things relating to facelift. And then we also recognize that there's a local component to a lot of the ways that people search in a category. So you have, this is Irvine, California, which has the most cosmetic surgery searches in the country, in Orange County, California. So you have Irvine cosmetic dentist, Irvine cheek implants, Irvine breast surgery. And so we have a business analyst who takes all this information and is actually able to create in Excel, which we export into a CSV file that then goes into our publishing system, not only the URL structure of the entire site, but all the H1s that are on the page, all the meta tags. Everything is really driven by how people search. And so we know that when we launch a website that we've basically created this net of everything cosmetic surgery. We have writers who write content for the website. We incorporate business directories to create content at that local level. And so through the content publishing system that we've developed, which we can talk a little bit more about technically, and hopefully Rob can help me out with it, we developed the architecture of the site. We developed the interlinking logic of all of the pages. And the logic that we've put in place is a logic that works well with search engines. All the meta tags and all the other on-page factors. And the great thing is that, we now have a skeleton for the website. We can pick and choose the modules that we want to add. So, for example, business profiles, as I mentioned before, news and